We speak, family and friends of the late wrestling legend Hulk Hogan are gathering at a Largo church to celebrate his life.
The morning sky over Largo, Florida, was heavy, draped in shades of gray that seemed to echo the sorrow within Indian Rock's Baptist Church. Limousines rolled quietly along the street, their engines muted by the weight of the day. Friends, family, and fans had gathered, each step careful, deliberate, as if moving through a fragile memory. Among them, Linda Hogan stepped out of her sleek black vehicle. Her hands trembled as she clutched her handbag, her heart weighed down by the loss of a man who had been larger than life, her companion for 24 years. The world she had shared with Hulk Hogan, once filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams, now seemed fractured and hollow. Beside her, Sky Daly, Hogan's widow, carried a bouquet of yellow roses, the same flowers that had symbolized her husband's legacy for decades. The color, bright even against the muted backdrop of grief, reminded all who saw it of the vibrant personality that Hulk had brought to the wrestling world. As they approached the church doors, the tension in the air was palpable. Silence seemed to fall over the crowd as mourners glanced toward the building. Inside, Indian Rock's Baptist Church awaited, its doors about to welcome those who had loved, worked with, or been inspired by Hulk Hogan. The street outside resembled a procession of reverence, lined with cars carrying figures who had shaped pop culture, sports entertainment, and personal lives alike. Every footstep, every whisper, carried the weight of loss, the inevitability of saying goodbye to a man who had touched millions. The anticipation of who would emerge from the limousines next added a subtle, almost cinematic suspense to the scene. Hulk Hogan was not merely a wrestler. He was a beacon, an icon whose influence stretched far beyond the squared circle. For generations, he was the embodiment of courage, perseverance, and determination. He taught people everywhere to stand tall, face adversity, and never back down from a fight. His journey wasn't just a professional path, it was a cultural movement that shaped the landscape of American entertainment. Hogan's larger-than-life persona inspired young fans to dream bigger, to embrace the extraordinary. He dominated wrestling in an era where every match, every promo, every triumph was a lesson in showmanship, charisma, and heart. Yet his impact wasn't limited to the ring. He seamlessly bridged worlds, leaving marks on Hollywood and mainstream music culture, reaching fans who might never have set foot in a wrestling arena. His death marked not just the end of a career, but the closing of a defining chapter in pop culture. The final bell had rung, but the echoes of his legacy would resonate for decades. As mourners stepped forward, they were reminded that this was a celebration of a life that inspired millions, a man who transformed the ordinary into something unforgettable, and a hero whose influence would forever be etched in the annals of entertainment history. One by one, legends emerged from the blacked-out vehicles that lined the church. The first was Vince McMahon, the titan of wrestling who had stood shoulder to shoulder with Hogan for decades. At 79, his presence was commanding yet tinged with sorrow, a reflection of years spent building a global phenomenon alongside his friend. Together, they had battled legal wars, created WrestleMania, and transformed wrestling into a spectacle that transcended the confines of the ring. McMahon's expression carried the weight of shared victories, personal struggles, and the knowledge that he was witnessing the end of an era. Following him came Triple H, whose admiration for Hogan was evident in every solemn step. To him, Hogan represented the blueprint for greatness, the standard by which every superstar that followed would be measured. Stephanie McMahon, Vince's daughter, arrived with equal reverence, embodying the next generation of wrestling royalty while honoring the legacy of the man who had made it all possible. Then, the arrival of Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, stole the collective breath of the mourners. At 76, Flair's black suit accented with touches of yellow symbolized respect for his longtime friend and rival. Their careers had intersected in epic battles, moments of triumph and unforgettable promos. Flair, visibly shaken, later posted on social media, reflecting on their friendship and saying, "Even in heaven, he sold out again." The words captured both nostalgia and a deep emotional connection, a tearful salute to a bond that had endured beyond the confines of professional rivalry. The parade of iconic figures continued, each arrival a testament to the magnitude of Hogan's influence. These were not just fans or acquaintances, they were people whose lives had been intertwined with his in ways that were personal, profound, and unforgettable. Each figure who stepped out carried a story, a memory, and a sense of reverence that reflected the man who had transformed entertainment. As the mourners continued to arrive, unexpected faces appeared, adding layers of intrigue to the day. Dennis Rodman, NBA Hall of Famer and wrestling collaborator, entered quietly, his colorful persona muted by the gravity of the occasion. The friendship between Rodman and Hogan had been unconventional, yet authentic, a connection that transcended public perception and highlighted the depth of Hogan's influence beyond wrestling. Then came Kid Rock, the musician whose friendship with Hogan spanned decades. Known for bridging worlds through music and entertainment, Kid Rock's presence was a reminder of Hogan's ability to transcend industries. His composure faltered visibly as he walked through the church doors, a reflection of a loss that went beyond professional admiration. It was deeply personal. Among the most surprising was comedian Theo Vaughn, whose unexpected attendance highlighted the breadth of Hogan's cultural reach. From wrestling legends to Hollywood and sports icons, the gathering symbolized a unique convergence of worlds, each person drawn by admiration, respect, or personal connection. The unexpected attendees underscored Hogan's extraordinary life, a life that had touched individuals from all walks of life, leaving a legacy that was as diverse as it was unforgettable. At the heart of the gathering stood the family, Linda Hogan and Sky Daly, grappling with the depth of their loss. Linda's hands trembled as she clutched the weight of memories, each one a fragment of a life shared with the man who had defined an era. Sky Daly's yellow roses, bright and vivid, symbolized the vibrancy Hogan had brought into their lives, and the lives of millions around the world. The grief was mirrored by the mourners. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Ric Flair, Dennis Rodman, and Kid Rock, all icons in their own right, showed the rare vulnerability that only true respect and friendship could evoke. Every gesture, every glance, every silent pause reflected a bond forged in moments of triumph, rivalry, and personal connection. The church was more than a venue. It became a sanctuary of memory, where the weight of loss was felt collectively and the celebration of a legendary life provided solace amidst heartbreak. As the mourners filled the church, one undeniable truth emerged. Hulk Hogan's legacy was immortal. He was not merely a wrestler, nor just an entertainer. He was a cultural icon whose influence had spanned wrestling, Hollywood, music, and the hearts of millions. Every arrival, every tear, every silent homage underscored the life of a man who had transformed ordinary moments into unforgettable memories. The gathering of legends, friends, and family celebrated not just a career, but a life that had inspired generations. Even as the final bell tolled in his absence, Hogan's spirit lingered, a reminder that legends never truly die. They live on in the hearts they touch, the stories they inspire, and the legacy they leave behind. Hulk Hogan had become timeless, a figure whose impact would endure far beyond the confines of the wrestling ring, forever immortal in the collective memory of those who loved him. Inside the church, a hushed reverence fell as friends, family, and colleagues stepped forward to share their memories. One by one, they recounted the moments that had defined Hulk Hogan. Not just the victories in the ring, but the laughter, mentorship, and unshakable generosity he had shown behind the scenes. Stories of late-night phone calls, impromptu training, sessions, and unexpected acts of kindness painted a portrait of a man whose heart was as mighty as his physique. Fans and colleagues spoke of his charisma, the way he could light up a room with just a smile or a phrase. Wrestlers remembered his guidance and the inspiration he provided to an entire generation stepping into the ring for the first time. Hollywood friends shared tales of camaraderie on movie sets, while musicians spoke of collaborations that defied expectation. Amid the tears, there were moments of laughter, vivid recollections of Hogan's playful antics, his trademark humor, and the larger-than-life personality that made him unforgettable. Every story, whether solemn or joyful, reinforced one truth. Hulk Hogan's impact was personal as much as it was universal. Even in death, he remained a force, a legend whose memory would be retold for decades, inspiring future generations in ways words could barely capture.